The Deep Space Monitoring Station Outpost 89 hung silently against the backdrop of the Carina Nebula, its sensors sweeping the vast emptiness between the stars. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez stifled a yawn as she conducted her routine scan of the sector. After 6 months of watching nothing more exciting than the occasional comet, she had mastered the art of staying awake during the graveyard shift. The soft hum of the station's life support system was interrupted by an urgent beeping from her console. Maya's eyes snapped to the readout, sleep forgotten as she processed the data streaming across her screen. An unknown vessel had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of their sensor range, its energy signature unlike anything in their database. "Computer, verify reading," Maya commanded, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. The artificial intelligence responded immediately, confirming what she was seeing. The vessel's mass and energy output suggested something massive, at least 3 times the size of Earth's largest battleships. She reached for the comm panel. "Captain Chen, you need to see this." Sarah Chen had earned command of the UEAs, defiant through a combination of tactical brilliance and unconventional thinking. At 42, she was young for a captain of an experimental vessel, but her record spoke for itself. When the call came, she was in the ship's engineering bay, discussing quantum drive modifications with her chief engineer. "Talk to me, Lieutenant," Chen said as she strode onto the bridge minutes later, her short black hair still slightly disheveled from being under an engineering helmet. "Unknown vessel, massive energy signature. It's just sitting there, Captain, like it's waiting for something." Maya pulled up the sensor data on the main view screen. The mysterious ship appeared as a complex web of energy readings, its actual form obscured by what appeared to be some kind of advanced cloaking technology. Chen studied the display, her dark eyes narrowing. The Defiant was supposed to be on a routine patrol, testing new stealth systems developed by the Earth Alliance. Instead, they might have just stumbled upon humanity's first contact with an advanced alien civilization. "Status of our experimental systems?" Chen asked, settling into her command chair. "All green, Captain," reported Commander James Walsh from his tactical station. "Quantum masking field is stable, and our new sensor suite is giving us clear readings despite their cloaking technology." Chen allowed herself a small smile. Earth's primitive approach to quantum mechanics had produced results that still confused many of their own scientists. While other species focused on brute force computing and energy manipulation, humanity had taken a different path, embracing quantum uncertainty itself as a tool. The alien vessel suddenly pulsed with energy, and a beam of coherent light swept through the sector. Maya's console erupted with warnings as the scan passed through their position. "They're using some kind of quantum-based detection system," Maya reported, "but our masking field is holding. As far as they can tell, we're just background radiation." Chen leaned forward in her chair. "Interesting. They're looking for something specific." "Tactical analysis of that scan." Walsh worked his console for a moment before responding. "It's sophisticated, Captain. The energy signature suggests technology far beyond our current level, but," he paused, double-checking his readings, "there's something odd about the wavelength they're using. It's like they're deliberately avoiding certain quantum states. Like they're afraid of them," Chen mused. The pieces were starting to come together in her mind. Earth's approach to quantum computing embraced chaos and uncertainty, using probability itself as a computational tool. If this alien civilization had taken a different path, one based on rigid control and prediction. A new alert caught Maya's attention. "Captain, we're picking up a signal. It's coming from Outpost 89. The bridge crew turned to watch as a message scrolled across their screens. The outpost's automated systems had detected a distress call, using an old emergency frequency that hadn't been standard for decades. The source, a small research vessel, supposedly damaged and in need of assistance, transmitting from just beyond the asteroid belt that marked the edge of their patrol zone. "That's not one of ours," Walsh stated firmly. "The registration codes are wrong, and no Earth ship would be using that frequency. Chen nodded slowly, the trap becoming clear. They're fishing, using our own protocols against us, hoping to lure out any human ships in the area. She stood, pacing the bridge as she considered their options. The question is, why? What makes us so interesting to a civilization, clearly more advanced than our own? The answer came in the form of another energy pulse from the alien vessel, this one different from the first. As it swept past them, the Defiant's quantum systems registered something remarkable. The alien scan was attempting to force quantum states into predictable patterns, trying to impose order on the fundamental uncertainty of reality itself. They can't see us, Chen realized aloud, because they can't conceive of our approach to quantum mechanics. Their entire civilization must be built on the principle of controlling and predicting quantum states, while she gestured to the humming quantum core that powered their ship, we embrace the chaos. Maya's console beeped again. Captain, the alien vessel is launching smaller craft. They're heading toward the source of the distress call. Chen returned to her command chair, her decision made. Earth's first contact with an alien civilization might not be peaceful, but it would certainly be memorable. Battle stations, she ordered, a fierce grin spreading across her face. Let's show them why humanity's primitive approach to quantum mechanics is anything but predictable. The UES Defiant's quantum masking field shifted subtly, preparing for what would become humanity's first interstellar combat engagement. In the vast darkness of space, a lesson was about to be taught. Sometimes the most dangerous predator isn't the one with the most advanced technology, but the one willing to embrace chaos itself as an ally. The asteroid field stretched before them like a graveyard of shattered worlds, each rock tumbling in its own chaotic dance. Captain Chen watched from the Defiant's bridge as the alien patrol craft wove between the massive stones, still searching for the source of the false distress signal. They'd moved with mechanical precision, following optimized paths that any advanced computer could calculate. Status of their main vessel? Chen asked, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. Commander Walsh checked his readings, still holding position at the edge of the system. Captain. But these patrol craft, he frowned at his console. They're using some kind of quantum lock scanning system, incredibly precise, but rigid. They're completely blind to anything operating outside their expected parameters. Like us, Maya added from her station, a note of pride in her voice. The Defiant's quantum masking field had evolved from a failed experiment in FTL communication. Instead of trying to control quantum states, Earth's scientists had embraced quantum uncertainty, using it to hide in plain sight. Chen nodded, a plan forming in her mind. Mr. Walsh, what would happen if we introduced a little chaos into their perfect scanning patterns? The tactical officer's eyes lit up with understanding. The quantum interference from our drive could shatter their scanning grid. But, Captain, that would reveal our position. Exactly. Chen stood, moving to the central tactical display. Lieutenant Rodriguez, plot us a course through the asteroid field. I want us to emerge right behind their formation, but time it with the natural gravitational fluctuations of the larger asteroids. As the crew worked, Chen reflected on the intelligence they'd gathered in the past hour. The alien vessels, which their database had tentatively labeled as belonging to the collective, based on intercepted communications, represented a civilization that had achieved technological supremacy through absolute control of quantum states. Their ships, their weapons, even their sensors all operated on the principle that the universe could be predicted and manipulated with perfect precision. The Defiant slipped through the asteroid field like a ghost, its quantum drive creating minute distortions that looked identical to the natural chaos of colliding rocks and competing gravitational fields. The alien patrol craft continued their search pattern, unaware that their quarry was about to turn the hunter into the hunted. Multiple weapons signatures detected, Walsh reported suddenly. They're not just looking for us. They're preparing to attack something. Chen's expression hardened. Show me. The tactical display shifted, revealing the patrol craft converging on what appeared to be a civilian mining operation deep in the asteroid field. The mining outpost wasn't transmitting any distress signals. It wasn't transmitting anything at all. It was exactly the kind of target a predator might choose. Isolated, vulnerable, and far from help. They're testing us, Chen realized aloud. This whole sector is an experiment. The distress signal, the mining outpost. They're trying to understand how we think, how we react. Maya's console pinged with new data. Captain, I'm detecting quantum signature patterns in their weapons. They're trying to force quantum collapse on their targets. Any normal shield system would shatter instantly. But we don't use normal shields, Chen replied, a fierce grin spreading across her face. The Defiant's defensive systems were based on the same principles as its masking field. Instead of trying to block attacks, they used quantum uncertainty to make it impossible for weapons to lock onto any specific point in spacetime. Battle stations, Chen ordered. Let's show the collective why trying to impose perfect order on an inherently chaotic universe is a losing strategy. Mr. Walsh, prepare to execute attack pattern Chen 7. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, but there was an extra edge to their movements now. They were about to engage an enemy that considered humanity primitive, using technology that broke every rule the collective thought they understood about quantum mechanics. As the Defiant powered up its weapons, Shan opened a channel to the mining outpost. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES, Defiant to all personnel at Mining Station Echo. Stand by for emergency protocols. The response came back instantly, not from panicked miners, but from a calm, professional voice Chen recognized. Copy that, Defiant. Task Force Echo standing by. Chen's smile widened. The collective wasn't the only one who could set traps. While they had been studying humanity's responses, humanity had been preparing surprises of their own. The mining outpost's disguise melted away, revealing a heavily armed Earth Alliance strike base, its weapons already spinning up to combat readiness. The collective wanted to learn about humanity. Chen said softly, watching the alien patrol craft realize too late that they had wandered into a trap of their own. Let's give them an education they'll never forget. The Defiant's quantum drive pulsed once, its signature momentarily matching the background chaos of the asteroid field before shifting into something entirely new. A pattern of quantum fluctuations that made the alien vessel's perfect formation, suddenly, catastrophically unstable. In the space between moments, the hunter became the hunted, and the true price of underestimating humanity was about to be paid in full. The void between asteroids erupted with quantum fire as the collective patrol craft scattered, their perfect formation shattered by the Defiant's unexpected attack. But these weren't the simple drones they appeared to be. As Chen watched, the alien vessels reconfigured themselves, quantum shields shifting to compensate for the chaos her ship had introduced. Multiple targeting locks, Walsh reported, his fingers dancing across his tactical console. They're adapting faster than we anticipated. A brilliant beam of coherent energy sliced through space where the Defiant had been moments before, but Chen's ship was already moving, its quantum drive leaving phantom images across multiple probability states. To the collective sensors, the human vessel appeared to exist in several places simultaneously. They're trying to pin us down, Chen observed, studying the pattern of enemy movements. Force us into a predictable state they can target. Clever. She turned to Maya. Lieutenant, what's the status of the quantum wake we're generating? Growing exponentially, Captain. The asteroid field is amplifying the effect. Local spacetime is becoming increasingly unstable for their targeting systems. The bridge rocked as a glancing hit slipped through their defenses, not enough to cause serious damage, but enough to remind them that the collective's technological advantage was very real. Chen's mind raced through possibilities, remembering her academy training about thinking in 3 dimensions, then 4, then 5. New contact. Walsh's voice carried an edge of alarm. The collective mothership is moving. Energy readings are off the charts. The massive alien vessel appeared at the edge of the asteroid field, its very presence seeming to impose order on the chaos around it. Where it passed, quantum fluctuations smoothed out, probability clouds collapsed, and the natural uncertainty of space-time itself appeared to bow to its will. "Now that's interesting," Chen murmured, watching as their sensor readings of the area began to stabilize. "They're not just predicting quantum states, they're forcing them, creating a bubble of absolute causality." The implications hit Commander Walsh first. "Captain, if they expand that field much further, our quantum drive will be forced into a single state." "Yes." Chen's expression remained calm, but her mind was working furiously. The collective had revealed their true capabilities sooner than expected. That meant they were worried. The Defiant shuddered as another blast caught its aft shields. The alien patrol craft were hurting them, using the mothership's field of enforced causality to limit their escape options. Traditional tactical doctrine would say they were trapped. Chen smiled. "Captain," Maya called out, "I'm detecting some kind of signal from the mothership. They're trying to communicate. Put it through." The bridge speakers crackled with a voice that seemed to exist in perfect harmony with itself, each word precisely measured and modulated. "Human vessel, you have demonstrated sufficient capability to warrant direct interaction. Your species' approach to quantum mechanics is flawed but interesting. Submit to examination, and your crew will be preserved for study." Chen's smile widened slightly. "Preserved for study? That's generous of you. May I ask what happened to the last species you studied?" A pause, exactly 3 seconds long. They were enlightened, shown the true path of quantum harmony. Their chaos was ordered, their uncertainty eliminated. "I see." Chen nodded to Walsh, who had been quietly working at his console. "And if we decline?" "Chaos cannot be permitted. Uncertainty must be eliminated. You will be ordered." Chen stood, walking to the center of her bridge. "You know, there's something fascinating about the human mind. We see patterns everywhere, even in chaos. But unlike you, we don't try to eliminate the chaos. We embrace it. We use it. And sometimes," she nodded to Walsh again, "we create it." The tactical officer's fingers flew across his console, executing a command sequence that had been building throughout the conversation. Every probe and sensor drone that the Defiant had dropped during their running battle activated simultaneously, each one generating its own quantum field that interacted with the asteroids around it. The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the collective. Their field of enforced causality, designed to impose order on quantum states, suddenly found itself trying to process thousands of conflicting probability waves. It was like trying to freeze a tsunami. "Fascinating," Chen mused as the collective mothership's perfect quantum field began to fragment. "You're so focused on controlling quantum states that you never considered what would happen if too many quantum events occurred simultaneously. Your processing capability is vast, but not infinite." The patrol craft's formation dissolved into chaos as their quantum-locked targeting systems tried to compensate for the cascade of probability waves now flooding local space. The mothership's energy readings fluctuated wildly as it attempted to maintain its field of enforced causality against the rising tide of quantum uncertainty. "Task Force Echo," Chen called out to their allies in the hidden base. "Execute pattern uncertainty. Let's show our friends what happens when you try to impose perfect order on an imperfect universe." The disguised mining station sprouted weapons arrays like flowering chaos, each one designed not to destroy but to disrupt, to add more quantum noise to an already overloaded system. The collective vessels, trapped between multiple sources of quantum uncertainty, found their greatest strength transformed into a critical weakness. Chen watched as the mighty mothership's quantum field collapsed under its own weight, its attempts to impose order only adding to the cascade of chaos their attack had created. Sometimes, she reflected, the most effective weapon against a technologically superior enemy wasn't better technology, it was using their own assumptions against them. Signal from the mothership, Maya reported. They're retreating. Their quantum field generators are critically unstable. Let them go, Chen ordered, watching as the alien vessels flood, their perfect formation now broken, their certainty shattered. I think they've learned something valuable about humanity today. As the collective ships disappeared into FTL, Chen settled back into her command chair. They had won this battle, but she knew it was only the beginning. The collective would be back, with new strategies and countermeasures, but humanity would be ready, armed with their greatest weapon, the ability to embrace chaos itself as an ally. Send a message to Earth Command, she instructed. Tell them the galaxy just got a lot more interesting. The aftermath of battle left a strange quiet on the Defiance Bridge. Quantum distortions still rippled through the asteroid field, aftershocks of their confrontation with the collective. Captain Chen stood at the main viewport, watching the dance of probability waves through the ship's specialized sensors. Damage report, she called out, though her eyes remained fixed on the swirling patterns before her. Commander Walsh responded from his station. Minor hull breaches on decks 3 and 7, already sealed. Quantum drive operating at 89% efficiency. We'll need some time in space dock to fully repair the strain from generating those probability cascades. The mining station. Task Force Echo reports all systems nominal. Their disguise is back in place. To any outside observer, they're just another resource extraction operation. Chen nodded, finally turning from the viewport to face her crew. And our guests. Maya looked up from her console. The quantum wake is settling, Captain. We're picking up clear readings now. There are debris fields, not from destroyed ships, but from failed quantum transitions, Chen finished. The collective vessels that couldn't adapt quickly enough when their causality field collapsed. She moved to the central tactical display, studying the scattered readings. Send in the recovery drones. Everything they left behind is valuable intelligence. The bridge crew worked in focused silence, each processing what they had witnessed. Humanity's first major engagement with an advanced alien civilization had ended in victory, but the cost of that victory was becoming clear. The collective hadn't just been testing them. They had been implementing a procedure they had used countless times before. Captain, Maya called out suddenly. I'm detecting something in the quantum background noise. It's like an echo, but structured. Chen moved to the science station, studying the readings. What had initially appeared to be random quantum fluctuations now revealed patterns, countless tiny ripples in space-time, each carrying fragments of information. Their messages, she realized. The quantum equivalent of bottles thrown into a cosmic ocean. Remnants of civilizations the collective tried to perfect. Her expression hardened. Download everything. Earth needs to know what we're really facing. Hours passed as the Defiance advanced sensors sifted through the quantum echoes. Each fragment told part of a story. Civilizations that had developed their own unique approaches to quantum mechanics, only to face the collective's demand for conformity. Some had submitted, their creativity and innovation stripped away in exchange for perfect predictability. Others had fought and vanished, their quantum signatures erased from existence. Captain, Walsh spoke up, breaking the long silence. Message from Earth Command. Priority 1. The main screen lit up with the face of Admiral Hassan, his dark eyes carrying the weight of command. Captain Chen, your preliminary report raises serious concerns. The collective's technology level suggests they should have been able to overwhelm your defenses easily. Instead, they retreated. Our analysts want to know why. Chen had been considering the same question. Permission to speak freely, sir. Always, Sarah. They're afraid of us. Not of our weapons or our defenses, but of how we think. She gestured to the tactical display, showing the quantum debris field. Every civilization they've encountered approached quantum mechanics the same way they did, trying to control it, to eliminate uncertainty. We're the first species they found that does the opposite. Explain. The collective builds its technology around predicting and controlling quantum states. Their ships, their weapons, even their communication systems all depend on maintaining perfect quantum coherence. But humanity, she smiled slightly. We built our quantum technology around surfing chaos, treating uncertainty as a feature rather than a bug. Admiral Hassan leaned forward. And this makes us dangerous to them. It makes us incomprehensible. Their entire civilization is built on the principle that the universe can and should be ordered, that quantum uncertainty is a flaw to be eliminated. We proved that assumption wrong simply by existing. Chen's voice carried the intensity of conviction. They call themselves the collective because they believe in a single, perfect way of existing. Humanity shows that there are other paths. The Admiral was silent for a long moment, processing the implications. Your recommendations, Captain. The collective will be back, sir. They have to come back. Our existence challenges everything they believe about the universe. But they'll approach us differently now. Chen pulled up the sensor logs from their battle. They tried to force us into compliance using their standard tactics, and we turned those tactics against them. Next time, they'll be more creative. Then we'll need to be more creative as well. The Admiral's expression was grim but determined. I'm giving you expanded authority, Captain. Task Force Echo will remain under your command, and we're fast-tracking development of the quantum technologies you used in this engagement. Humanity needs to be ready. Understood, sir. But there's something else you should know. Chen sent a data packet through the quantum encrypted channel. We've decoded some of the quantum echoes we found. The collective isn't just a civilization. It's a philosophy. They believe quantum uncertainty represents chaos in its purest form, and their mission is to eliminate it from the universe, one species at a time, making them our perfect opposite, Hassan mused. A force of absolute order encountering a species that embraces chaos as a tool. Exactly, sir. And that makes Earth more than just another target. We're a threat to their entire worldview. The Admiral nodded slowly. Then we'll show them why trying to impose perfect order on an imperfect universe is a losing strategy. Keep the Defiant on patrol, Captain. I want to know the moment they return. As the transmission ended, Chen turned back to her crew. The quiet that had fallen over the bridge wasn't from shock or fear anymore. It was the silence of people who understood exactly what they were facing and what was at stake. Maya, she called out, configure our quantum sensors to detect any attempts at long-range probability manipulation. Walsh, work with engineering to develop countermeasures based on what we learned today. The collective thinks they know how the universe should work. Let's keep showing them how creative humanity can be when we're underestimated. The Defiant moved through the asteroid field, its quantum drive leaving ripples in probability space. They had won the first battle in what promised to be a long war, not just of technology, but of ideas. The collective sought to eliminate chaos from the universe. Humanity would show them why chaos, properly understood and embraced, might be the greatest power of all. 3 days after their first encounter with the collective, the Defiant's quantum sensors detected a disturbance at the edge of monitored space. This time, there was no pretense of stealth or deception. The collective's flagship emerged from faster-than-light travel like a mathematical concept given form, its hull gleaming with perfectly ordered quantum fields. Captain Chen stood on her bridge, watching as the massive vessel approached. It was at least 10 times the size of the mothership they had faced before, its very presence seeming to smooth out the natural quantum fluctuations of space around it. They're broadcasting, Maya reported, her voice tight with tension. All frequencies, including our quantum channels. Put it through. The voice that filled the bridge was different from before, deeper, more resonant, carrying the weight of ancient authority. We are the architects of order. For 100,000 years, we have guided the evolution of quantum-capable species toward perfection. Your resistance was unexpected, fascinating. We would understand. Chen shared a look with her crew before responding. Understanding requires dialogue. Are you here to talk or to impose your version of order? A pause, shorter than before. They were learning. Both. Neither. You operate outside our parameters. Your approach to quantum mechanics defies categorization. Explain. That's humanity for you, Chen replied, a small smile playing at her lips. We've never been good at staying inside parameters. Why force quantum states to behave when you can work with their natural tendency toward chaos? The collective flagship's response was to activate its primary systems. The effect was immediate and breathtaking. Space itself seemed to crystallize around the vessel, quantum probability waves collapsing into single, perfect states. This was their true power, the ability to enforce classical physics on a quantum scale. Your method is inefficient, the architects declared. Wasteful. Each quantum state must be governed, controlled, directed toward optimal outcomes. Your embrace of chaos introduces entropy into a system we have spent millennia perfecting. Chen watched as the effect spread, creating a sphere of absolute causality that expanded toward them. And yet here we are, achieving the same results through different means. Doesn't that suggest there might be more than one path to understanding the universe? Divergence breeds disorder. Disorder leads to decay. We offer perfection. You offer stagnation, Chen countered, nodding to Walsh. The tactical officer's fingers flew across his console, implementing the modifications they had developed based on their previous encounter. The universe tends toward entropy naturally. Fighting that tendency requires constant energy input, but working with it. The Defiant's quantum drive hummed to life, but differently than before. Instead of trying to resist the collective's field of enforced causality, they let it in. The ship's systems, designed to work with quantum uncertainty rather than against it, began to resonate with the imposed order in unexpected ways. Fascinating, the architect's voice carried a new note, something almost like uncertainty. Your systems are achieving quantum coherence through controlled chaos. This violates fundamental principles. Or maybe, Chen suggested, it reveals principles you never considered. The universe isn't a problem to be solved. It's a reality to be experienced in all its messy, chaotic glory. The Defiant began to move, its quantum field interacting with the collective's imposed order in ways that shouldn't have been possible. Where their fields met, new patterns emerged, not the perfect crystalline structures the collective created, but something more organic, more alive. You've spent so long trying to perfect the universe, Chen continued, that you've forgotten why quantum uncertainty exists in the first place. It's not a flaw in reality. It's what makes reality possible. Life itself depends on the interplay between order and chaos. The flagship's perfect field began to fluctuate as it encountered patterns it couldn't predict or control. The Defiant's quantum wake wasn't fighting the imposed order. It was transforming it, creating regions where both chaos and order could exist simultaneously. Your method is flawed, the architects insisted, but there was something new in their voice. Inefficient. Imperfect. Yes, Chen agreed. Beautifully, wonderfully imperfect. Like life itself. And that's why we'll always have an advantage over you. We don't need the universe to be perfect. We just need it to be possible. The Defiant sensors registered a cascade of changes rippling through the collective flagship's quantum field. Their perfect order was being disrupted not by force, but by the introduction of creative chaos, the same principle that had allowed life to emerge from the quantum foam of the early universe. You offer a path we had not considered, the architects admitted finally. A paradigm that challenges our fundamental assumptions. That's another human trait, Chen replied. We're very good at challenging assumptions. Perhaps it's time for your collective to consider that perfection isn't the only goal worth pursuing. The flagship's quantum field began to retract, not in retreat this time, but in reconsideration. The voice of the architects held a new tone, not quite humility, but perhaps the beginning of wisdom. We will contemplate. Your species has introduced an element we cannot ignore, order and chaos, existing in dynamic balance rather than opposition. This requires further study. As the massive vessel prepared to depart, Chen offered a final thought. The universe is vast enough for many approaches, many paths to understanding. Perhaps the true perfection you seek lies not in eliminating chaos, but in learning to dance with it. The collective flagship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving behind a space that buzzed with the interplay of quantum probabilities. Shen looked at her crew, seeing in their faces the same mix of exhaustion and exhilaration she felt. "Send a message to Earth Command," she ordered. Tell them humanity just changed the rules of the game. The galaxy's not ready for what we're becoming." The Defiant turned toward home, its quantum drive leaving ripples in space-time, ripples that would spread, carrying with them a new understanding of what was possible when you stopped trying to control the chaos and learned instead to embrace it as part of the cosmic dance.